What are those? What are those? What are those?
Oh, wait, there's nothing there. Okay. So, what's up, everybody? My name is Kenan. A lot of people know me as KP, and this is, or should I say, I am the Informal Fan. So, what is this? What the is this? So, as a fan of a lot of sports, a lot of leagues, a lot of teams, although I do have my favorites, I have my number ones, and I have my number one of all. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. There's a lot that I love, and sometimes that can be a little overwhelming for most people. But there are other people out there that are just like me who are kind of into a little bit of everything, even if they have their favorites, whether it's they're only into North American sports, specifically United States. They may be into specifically European. They may have, South American or African lean, whatever their thing is. But sometimes they like to know what's kind of going on in other places, be it neighboring countries and leagues that they might transfer transfer players between. Or it may just be a random interest like, hey, my family's from blah, and I'm originally from blah, and I'm actually staying in blah, but I kind of like blah. There's lots of possibilities out there, and my love has grown with the sports. Well, yes, my love has grown with sports exponentially over time, and I really like a lot of things. Now, soccer, all the way to the top, all the way up. Hockey is pretty close. It gets there. Now, I will say that's very heavily my local team versus everything else. But I do love hockey in general. And then it kind of drops up from there. I do love basketball. I do love football. I do love baseball. I've watched some other sports as well, but soccer and hockey reign supreme. And a lot of the focus of this channel, at least, is going to start with soccer or football, whichever you prefer. I'm not going to be snobby about it. This is the Informal Fan, not the the exact fan. So this kind of spawned out of my love for a lot of things, and I know that I'm not alone in this. So I'm going to kind of navigate the waters of a more informal, non-expertise perspective of different leagues. Now, who am I going to cover, you're asking? How am I going to cover this? Well, I want to cover everyone, but that's way too ambitious, and I want to get there at some point. But to start, I'm going to start with a select few leagues that I'm passionate about, or at least passionate about learning about, that other people may not have quite as much knowledge about, and maybe I don't as much either. I'm going to learn about it more and more as I go for you guys as well. And I'll still touch on the Big Five in Europe, as well as kind of overall around the world. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to break things out into segments, but my initial thought is going to be I'm going to focus on my specialized ones. I'm going to focus on a recap of and predictions for the big ones, and then kind of a overall around the world kind of thing where, something notable happens in Japan, and then the same day something happens in Guatemala. I'll try my best to cover a little bit of everything by kind of learning what I can on my own and also reaching out to expertise. Long term, I would love for this to be a collaborative project, but for now, I'm going to take this on as a solo mission because I want to learn this stuff, and I want to learn this stuff with you guys. It's kind of hard to describe. There's so many things I could touch on. I will say the leagues that I particularly want to cover are the Nordic leagues, specifically, but not exclusively, the Allsvenskan for Sweden. I do have some interest there. I have, teams that I follow. Ding, 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 ding. But I also just I have a tie to the country. But overall, I'm already kind of in the motion of being invested in the league. And I love to spread that out, especially because they don't have as big of an English outreach. And I'm here to provide that. I'm also going to touch on the Australian League. Again, I think even though it is an English-speaking country, I think it's something that's not covered as much. And there's some really, really interesting football going on there. And another focus one I want to do is in North America, but it's not the USL, it's not the MLS, it isn't the NWSL, although I will touch on that. We'll touch on all of those, is the Canadian Premier League, the CPL. It's a young league, it's very fresh, it's very interesting, it's kind of cool to see everything coming from the ground up, and I definitely want to be a part of that experience. Now, there are people who are way better experts of all three that I mentioned. Also, you know, part of the reason why I didn't want to focus on some of the big ones is because there are people who are doing a lot better than me right now. You know, I already have a lot of good coverage that I can rely on for England, for Germany, for Italy, for Spain, for MLS, for NWSL, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I want to default to that, and I will collaborate with people over time and also, you know, cross-contaminate knowledge with. But overall, you know, it's going to be kind of a solo mission to learn, and I'm going to take you guys with me. Another thing that I'm really big on that I'm not quite sure, there's a lot of question marks in this. I'm not quite sure how I want to do this, but I do want this to be a community-based thing. So, of course, I'm going to be interacting with as many people as possible, be that supporters groups, fans, teams, leagues, whatever I can do to kind of learn more through other people. I'll be reaching out to people as I begin to whittle down my list of leagues and teams I know I want to cover, and then I'll take suggestions from people as I go. I'll always take suggestions. So whether you're watching this on YouTube and you want to leave me a comment down below, you're watching on Facebook, wherever you're watching it, reading it, whatever, I want your input as much as I want to give you my input. So it's going to be a fun journey, and I think, you know, I could babble on about all my dreams and aspirations and what types of content I want to bring you guys, because there's so much I want to do. I've been, you know, really hungry for creating content around sports, and I did sort of try it earlier. Didn't do such a good job because I didn't like the model I was doing, and it felt a little too much like what everyone else was doing. So I just said, screw it. I'm just gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna be casual about it. This is gonna be very informal. A lot of it's gonna be off the cuff. Some of it I might be reading off of my computer or my phone, and I might be like spitting hot facts at you guys, but at the same time I don't want to make it too much like, and on Sunday so-and-so played yes, and so-and-so drew 2-3, and that was it. Like, you know, I'm gonna try to make this as digestible as possible. So that reminds me of another reason why I want to do the channel the way I'm gonna do this. And well, I shouldn't say channel, it's gonna be more than just a YouTube channel. Is I want to make this accessible, because that's another thing with information. So if you're a hardcore fan, you're going to find your information really well, you're going to soak in everything. Me, I have my things that I'm very passionate about. You know, I would say that I have a very strong knowledge of specific teams, specific leagues, but other than that, the ones that I have interest in, I'm no expert. And that's why I'm #not an expert. I want it to be accessible. I want it to feel like, man, this is really interesting. And I don't feel like I'm being talked to in a, you know, 6-hour lecture about the finer details of X economy to make sure that this club worked this way. You know, I'll go into the interesting information that I can pull in. And I do want to talk about current events, history, leagues, teams. I have a lot I want to go at. So I'm going to overwhelm you guys with scope of content, but I'm not going to overwhelm you with detail of content, because I want to make sure that every video you get, every tweet that I send out that's informational, every post that I make, everything that I give you guys is digestible, is accessible. And it could be a league you've never heard of. It could be a team you've never heard of. And it could be something you have heard of and you're just like, I don't know much about them, but I'd love to learn more. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn and grow together. And that's why I'm the Informal Fan. That's why you are also an Informal Fan. We are the Informal Fans. Catch you next time.